Good evening. This is Michael Martin Murphy. This is the Lone Cowboy Hour. What in the world is this show about? Well, you should watch a movie called Cool Hand Luke, starring Paul Newman. In it, he's playing poker with a bunch of other guys in prison. They're all on the chain gang. And everybody finally lays down their hand. Turns out that Newman had bluffed them all. And there was nothing much in his hand when he turned over his cards. And they said, "Man, you had nothing in your hand." And he says, "Sometimes nothing is a real cool hand." That's what this show is about. I'm on a rundown, I'm out running sundown, thinking I'm on the right track. I'm writing a song as I'm riding along, I'm keeping the sun at my back. Big orange trailer and truck, I can make my own luck. I ride through the sand and the sage. It gives me a rush to be busting the brush and acting about half my age. Lone cowboy, I'm doing my best. Lone cowboy, I go everywhere west. Lone cowboy, with my old campfire songs. Lone cowboy, lone cowboy, lone cowboy. Ha! Tonight on the Lone Cowboy Hour, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my life back in late 1979, 1980, and 81, when I made an album that really was a soundtrack to a film called Hard Country. Now, this was a movie that I wrote the script for with a guy named Michael Caine. And the reason why the movie came out was because at that time, some interesting economic and social forces were going on in America. First of all, and that's the way I should say it, first of oil. Oil was huge in Texas. It was huge in Oklahoma. And suddenly there was a new resurgence in drilling, whereas all those oil wells had been sort of dormant for a long time. And suddenly there was money awash in all the western states and places where they had oil, and even up in Pennsylvania and other states that weren't in the West. The West sort of controlled it. That's where the big money was. And all the people that worked in the oil fields brought their culture to America. And of course, they listened to country music. The Roughnecks liked that. And the people that weren't even from Texas who came into the oil fields, who were in the upper echelons of the companies, they tended to wear cowboy boots and cowboy hats and buy into the Texas culture, the cowboy culture, as you might call it. Now, some people might say, well, that's kind of phony, but I didn't see it that way at all. I saw it as a salute to my culture that I grew up in, and a salute to the American cowboy, which is really the only all-American icon we've really ever had. Think about it. If you walk down the street in suit and tie in France or some other country, nobody really knows what country you're from, except maybe by judging you from racial features. But even then, you could be a person from America because it's such a melting pot. But when you saw a person walking down the street in a cowboy hat and cowboy boots, then you knew that that was an American, or at least a Canadian from next door, and possibly an Australian. The cowboy culture, the cowboy is really the only American icon we've really ever had that's identifiably American. Ronald Reagan saw this during the Winter Olympics of his presidency, and he got everybody to dress in the whole Olympic team in sheepskin coats, cowboy hats, and cowboy boots. And as they marched along, they really stood out from all the other countries who were wearing the traditional dress of their countries. It was a great statement. In 1980, a trend got started where pop radio stations were changing over to country because rock music had become very negative. It had become very bitter, even anarchistic, and people were beginning to turn away from this really hard rock situation and turning something that was a little bit more all-American. So there was a huge resurgence of traditional country music in the country, leading to a big takeoff for Ricky Skaggs, Randy Travis, myself, the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, who had always done a lot of country because of John McEwen's influence on banjo and the bluegrass influence of the band. A lot of us who were in pop music before transitioned over, even Jimmy Buffett, who had always been just a pop artist, and that's a good thing, being a pop artist. That was success. But we were being gradually squeezed out as singer-songwriters, and in was coming these really wild, kind of almost drug-infested bands. Not all of them were, but a lot of them were inspired by that scene. And most of America just couldn't buy it. They just didn't want that. So what was the thing they turned to? It was country music. And it was a lot more fun. People went out and danced to it. It was a lot more all-American, you might say. So I took my idea of making a movie about this dance scene to a movie agent and my manager, who was John Hartman at the time, who also managed Crosby, Stills, and Nash in America. And I said, you know what I want to do? I want to write a script about a simple story about a couple that are in the middle of the Texas culture down in West Texas, and call it hard country, because it is hard country to live in, but you make a life out of it. And I took it to this movie agent, and they loved the idea. And so next thing you know, 1981, my movie called Hard Country came out. The movie starred Kim Basinger in her first appearance as a movie star. She'd done a little bit of television on a pretty small time basis, but David Green, who was the director, discovered her, auditioned her for the part. She's from Georgia, so she had a ability to play a Southern or a Texas accent. And then we got Jan Michael Vincent, who was a very popular television star and had done a few movies, to be in it. Also Michael Parks. I wrote the script for the guy named Michael Caine, and the film is about a young woman who longs to escape the limitations of life in a small Texas town to go and pursue her dreams in LA. And her boyfriend doesn't want her to leave his dearly beloved honky-tonk scene in country music. It was a fun movie to make. Also, Gaylord Sartain, if you remember him from country music comedy television, and a number of other people. Oh, Daryl Hannah, she was in it too. So this is the theme song that led to a script that led to a movie. I've been galvanizing chain link fence. I've been fixing flats. I've been knocking out dents. Sleeping in a truck bed with a blonde and a copperhead, chasing down whiskey with beer. This is hard country out here. Now stay-pressed gypsies, they never roam. They live in Midland, Texas, in a mobile home. And they talk about livestock, pink-cheeked peacocks who dance like bank cashiers. This is hard country out here. This is hard country out here. Out here everybody plays by ear. Don't you go making sudden moves. This is hard country out here. Now high-flying lowriders fly by me. They're living fast, but they're dying free. And if I had a clean machine, I'd put it in between someplace else and my fears. This is hard country out here. This is hard country out here. Out here everybody plays by ear. So don't you go making no sudden moves. This is hard country out here. So crazy lady, let's don't stay. Let's borrow, beg, and steal away. Let's blow off these buckaroos, put them in the rear view, forget about the new frontier. This is hard country out here. This is hard country out here. And out here everybody plays by ear. Don't you go making no sudden moves. This is hard country out here. This is hard country out here. This is hard country out here. Now, there was a competitive movie to Hard Country that came out around the same time, and it was starring John Travolta, and that movie was called Urban Cowboy. And Urban Cowboy and Hard Country came out around the same time, and but Urban Cowboy just completely wiped us out. Hard Country didn't do nearly as well. I was very proud of the movie, though. We had some good people in it. Tanya Tucker sang in it, and a wonderful singer named Katie Moffett was in it. And my band, the Honky Tonk Band, Great American Honky Tonk Band, we called it, starring Michael Hearn on lead guitar, and we played Austin City Limits during that time period. I was living in New Mexico, but I kept coming back from New Mexico to go to Texas, and all of this urban cowboy stuff kind of came out of Texas, and anyway, spilled over into all the other states. dancing was really, really popular, particularly in the little town of Red River and the town of Taos, where a lot of Texans came on vacation in the summertime. And we had a band that played for all those dances. Now, I had come out of pop music, but I was no longer doing pop music concerts, and my association with that had kind of waned. I had stepped away from that. Really wanted to go more country, as I said, but I couldn't sustain myself very well on concerts. So I decided, well, what can I do, you know? And there's a famous saying, if people have no shoes in a country, then invent a political system where it's cool not to have any shoes. And we didn't have any pop concerts, but we could play clubs. So we made a big deal out of playing the honky-tonks. Well, let me tell you, some of these honky-tonks that grew up around that time were bigger than the concert halls, and more money was taken in, and it was more popular with the public. I'm talking about places like Billy Bob's, Texas, and of course Gillies. And then there was a couple of places up in Oklahoma that were old dance halls that got started in the 30s that were big. Max's Kansas City up in New York. And these big honky-tonks were everywhere, but they were particularly in towns where you had a lot of influence of the oil business, particularly Houston, Fort Worth, any of those towns in Texas, San Antonio. And boy, once that got on a roll, it seems like country music became bigger and sold more records than any other genre in music for quite a long time. And today, it still rivals the sales of pop music. Now, I had come out of a scene in Austin, Texas called the Cosmic Cowboys, and then later on they called it the Outlaws. So it was easy for me to be in that movie, Hard Country, and sing about this outlaw kind of country music that we had started in Austin, spread her out through the West and into New Mexico, where I was living at the time. So here's the song Cosmic Cowboy that became the anthem of a movement of people. It started in the early 70s, but it had continued to be popular, and I think it really helped me get this movie and get my career off the ground as a country singer, because although it was on the pop charts and on the country charts, this song had steel guitar in it, and that was a defining thing. Also, I released a second version later on that had fiddle in it, and it was a lot of fun. We did the song often in places like Billy Bob's, Texas, and Gillies down in Houston. Burial grounds and merry-go-rounds are all the same to me. Horses on posts and kids and ghosts, spirits we ought to set free. City slicker pickers got a lot of slicker licks than me. But right in the range and acting strange is where I wanna be. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. I just wanna ride and rope and hoop. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. Wanna be a supernatural country rockin' galoot. Lone Star sipping and skinny dipping and steel guitars and stars. Just as good as Hollywood and those boogie-woogie disco bars. Gonna buy me a vest and head out west, a little woman and myself. When we come to town, they're gonna gather round, marvel at our belt buckles. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. I just wanna ride and rope and hoop. Hey, I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. Wanna be a supernatural country rockin' blues. Now big raccoons and harvest moons keep rolling through my mind, and a home on the range where the antelope play is pretty dang hard to find. Don't you bury me on the lone prairie, I'd rather play here live. I'm headed out west and I'm doing my best to keep my old Bronco in four-wheel drive. Hey, I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. Hey, I just wanna ride a rope and a hoop. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. Wanna be a supernatural country rockin' blues. And up is not the way I'm gonna shoot. I'd lead a little Well, if you're gonna make a movie called Hard Country and put out a soundtrack to it, you know you gotta have a good two-step song in it. So this is the big effort we made to put out a two-step song, and it was very, very popular. Dance floors were filled up, along with a lot of other people singing two-step songs, because that was the most popular dance of the time, and it's still going on in places like Billy Bob's, Texas. Right now, today, still the most popular dance in Texas. It's a very romantic dance where you get to dance with your partner instead of 20 or 30 feet apart in a line dance. And this is called Take It As It Comes. I sang this as a duet with a lovely lady named Katie Moffett. I haven't seen her in a long time, but what a wonderful voice she has. And I had called her up. I was in touch with her and her brother Hugh Moffett, who was a great country songwriter back in that time when I was not living in Nashville, but hanging out there a lot. Go out there from New Mexico and write songs. Please don't talk to me that way. Just say what you want to say. I can't take one more cliche or mixed up phrase, 'cause it won't matter when we're gone which side you were on. Take it as it comes, don't lose it all and start again. Take it as it comes. Take it as it comes. Take it as it comes. Don't lose it all and start again. 'Cause if you're wrong or if you're right, is it really worth the fight? When you're lonely in the night, will you still care? We can't change what's left behind just because we changed our minds. Take it as it comes, don't lose it all and start again. Take it as it comes. Take it as it comes. Take it as it comes. Don't lose lose it all and start again. Take it as it comes. Take it as it comes. Take it as it comes. Don't lose it all and start again. Well, the story of the movie Hard Country was very much about a woman who was trying to break out of a male-dominated culture. And, that doesn't always work out sometimes, but it worked out in this movie, the way we wrote the script. She finally gets her way, and Jan Michael Vincent decides to run down to the airport and just go with her to LA so she can learn to be a stewardess. And it's a great movie about the things that women sometimes get kicked under the rug. They're assuming that they have a certain kind of a job, but Kim Basinger in the movie just doesn't want to be a typical housewife. So it works out pretty well, but it's a great movie about country music too. And so we thought we'd do this song. Now this song was written by John D. Loudermilk, and it was a big hit by Jerry Lee Lewis and a number of other people. So here it is, a song that really describes the last scene in the movie. Baby, oh baby, tell the man at the ticket stand that you changed your mind. Let me run outside and tell a man to keep his meter flying. 'Cause if you say goodbye to me, baby, you're gonna break my mind. Break my mind. Break my mind. Well, I just can't stand to hear those big jet engines whine. Break my mind. Break my mind. Oh, oh. But if you leave, you're gonna leave a babbling fool behind. Baby, oh baby, let me take your suitcase off that scale just in time. Tell the man that you suddenly developed a thing about flying. 'Cause if you say goodbye to me, baby, you're gonna break my mind. Break my mind. Break my mind. Well, I just can't stand to hear the big jet engines whine. Break my mind. Break my mind. But if you leave, you're gonna leave a babbling fool behind. Break my mind. Break my mind. Well, I just can't stand to hear the big jet engines whine. Break my mind, oh Lord, break my mind. Well, if you leave, you're gonna leave a babbling fool behind. Well, if you leave, you're gonna leave a babbling fool behind. And break my mind. Woo! By the way, if you want to watch the film Hard Country, it's still available. If you're an Amazon Prime member, you can get it real easy. Well, although the movie Hard Country directly addressed a phenomenon that was happening all over the United States, and that is people were turning back to traditional country music, even playing the kind of beats that Hank Williams and a lot of the old hard country people like George Jones and Buck Owens played. Still, it was all about Texas. When you get right down to it, it was all emanating out of Texas, and it has continued to be the strongest country music scene, in spite of what Nashville thinks, for many, many decades. This is called Texas When I Die. Tanya Tucker actually sang it in the Hard Country movie. By the way, we made the movie in Bakersfield, California, right in the middle of the oil fields, because that was the least expensive way for the movie company to show that same kind of flat land with a lot of grasshopper rigs and oil rigs. And we had a lot of fun doing it, and it had to double for Texas at the time because of the budget. We never did get down to Texas to actually film any scenes in this movie. Nevertheless, this movie is all about Texas. When I die, I may not go to heaven. I don't know if they let cowboys in. If they don't, just let me go to Texas, boys. Texas is as close as I've been. New York couldn't hold my attention. Detroit City couldn't sing my song. If tomorrow finds me busted flat in Dallas, I won't care, 'cause at least they'll know I'm home. When I die, well, I may not go to heaven, boys. I don't know if they'll let cowboys in. And if they don't, just let me go to Texas, boys. Texas is as close as I've been. I'd ride through all of hell and half of Texas, just to hear old Willie Nelson sing a country song. Beer just ain't as cold in old Milwaukee. My body's here, but my soul's in San Antonio. So when I die, may not go to heaven, boys. I don't know if they let cowboys in. Well, if they don't, just let me go to Texas, boys. Texas is as close as I've been. Now when I die, may not go to heaven. Everybody's singing. I don't know if they let cowboys in. Well, if they don't, just let me go to Texas. Texas is as close to heaven as I've been. Texas is as close as I've been. And here's to Texas. Well, it's been fun tonight to talk about a movie that I was involved with called Hard Country. Wrote the script for it, wrote a bunch of songs, and appeared in it. Hard Country starred Jan Michael Vincent, Kim Basinger's first movie, it's her first appearance, Daryl Hannah, Michael Parks, and a lot of other great actors and actresses. It was directed by a great Englishman named David Green, and it was all about the culture of dancing and honky-tonkin' in Texas. Had a great time making that movie. We went all over the place doing research for it, which turned out to be a lot of partying, and ended up making the movie in Bakersfield because they cut us such a good deal to make it in Bakersfield. And it's probably good because although it was about Texas, this music, this hard country music, was taken off all over the place. And what better place to also salute the music that came out of Texas and Oklahoma by Merle Haggard and Buck Owens, but the city of Bakersfield, California, where they made about the hardest country music you can ever imagine. Of course, no matter what I did, no matter where I went, when I walked onto that movie set to make that film, there were people who walked up to me and still did what always happened to me. They said, "Aren't you the guy who sang Wildfire?" And of course, I'd get out my guitar and play it for them. And I'm glad that my defining song is a song about the West and about horses, and that it captured the imagination of a lot of people who like the Western lifestyle. And I still love to sing it every single time I do this show to close out. So thanks for watching the Lone Cowboy Hour. And I hope you keep on loving and living like wildfire. I'm Michael Martin Murphy. She comes down from Yellow Mountain on a dark flatland she rides. On a pony she named Wildfire. A whirlwind by your side on a cold Nebraska night. They say she died one winter when there came a killing frost, and the pony she named Wildfire busted down his stall. In a blizzard he was lost. She ran calling wildfire, calling wildfire, calling wildfire. So by the dark of the moon I planted, but there came an early snow. Then a hoot owl howling outside my window. 6 nights in a row, she's coming for me. And on Wildfire we're both gonna go. We'll be riding wildfire, riding wildfire, riding wildfire. Gonna leave side busting behind, get the hard times right on out of our minds. We'll be riding wildfire.
and sundown, I'm thinking I'm on the right track. I'm writing a song as I'm riding along, keeping the sun at my back. Big horse trailer and truck, I can make my own luck as I ride through the sand and the sage. As it gives me a rush to be busting the brush, acting about half my age. Lone cowboy, I'm doing my best. Lone cowboy, I go everywhere west. Lone cowboy, with my old campfire song. Lone cowboy, giddy up, get along. I've owned some good ponies, blacks, bays, and blue roans.